Shalom, Israel, Shalom. Um, I was out there teaching um, on the south side a little earlier near Fairview, and I was out there. The young man was, he was very emotional as I told him. Emotional now. Y'all get that. He was a YN, so-called goon or whatever like that, but man, they so emotional, man. You can't have a simple discussion with them without them getting upset or agitated or just simply emotional like a female, man. And I simply told her, but I said, look, do you know you're a king, right? He said, yeah, I know I'm a king, but more so I know I'm a god. I like that answer. I actually like that answer. However, I had a description with that answer because I'm like, if you know you're a god, why you sagging your pants to where I can see your whole ass out? Like I can see your drawers, bro. I know the color of your drawers. That's how far you're sagging. You know what I'm saying? And I used to do the same thing when I was his age. I didn't do it to that extent where you could see my boxers, because we wore tall tees back then. So, a t-shirt covered up what we were showing. But to any degree, I was sagging my pants at his age, right? But I was just trying to teach the young king, like, look, if you a king and then you say you a god on top of that, gods operate in royalty, kings operate in royalty. You will never go to England or to any country on any continent and you'll find a African king or a Russian king or a Viking king for that matter with his pants sagging. Now let me show y'all something. So he told me he got upset because he said it ain't got nothing to do with clothing. He stormed out of the store like a female. My rib, she saw it. She saw him come out of the store angry and upset like an emotional woman. And she said, was that, well, I didn't know why he was upset. Why was the reason he stormed out? I said, because of me. But the conversation didn't even have to go that far. It could have just been a disagreement and we shook hands and went our separate ways. But young brothers like that, thugs, bro, they cannot hold a simple conversation without getting emotional, bro, because they raised by women. That's why they are quick to pull out a knife or a gun, or quick to yell and scream and cuss at you for no reason. Like, bro, talk to me like a man. Like, you a young man, bro. Let's just talk. Let's reason with each other. If you say clothes have nothing to do with a king or a god, prove your cause. And I prove mine too. If not, then, what I'm saying, we disagree, we just shake hands and go our separate ways. It's just as simple as that, man. It's just called manhood, man. So let me just prove right quick that it does depend on what we wear. You feel what I'm saying? It does depend on what we wear. So I'm going to go to 1 Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 9. All right. The ancient men sat all in the streets, communing together of good things, and the young men put on glorious and warlike apparel. You can't go to war unless you have on warlike apparel. I can't take you serious as a king or a god unless you have a god-like or royal kingly like attire. I can't take you as that. I can't. You look like, what I'm saying, a slave. Like you look like $1 million slave. You feel what I'm saying? And that's just to say, at the end of the day, you can have $20 million in the bank and you can feel like a god. That don't make you a god. You can have $500 billion in the bank and you can say you a king. Depending on how you look, I can say, man, you retarded. You're not a king. You just $1 million slave. You're a $1 billion slave. You feel what I'm saying? Because you have no military, you have no government, you have no constituency, you have no council, you have no politics about yourself, you have no business about yourself. So no, I can't address you as a king or a god. I can't. So we can't just walk around saying I'm a king, I'm a god. What does that mean? What does that mean to a young boy or a young girl when you walk up to them 5 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, and you say you're a king or you're a god, and then you turn around and you got your pants sagging, and they like, oh, I can sag my pants too because I'm a king or I'm a princess or I'm a prince, I'm a god. They can't follow your example because your example makes no sense. You feel what I'm saying? So With that being said, I came to First Maccabees 14:9 to show you guys that this is what gods and kings look like. We put on warlike apparel. It say the ancient men sat in all the streets, communing together of good things, and the young men put on glorious and warlike apparel. He had on no glorious apparel, no warlike apparel. I could not address him as a king or a god. I came to him. I said, "Do you know you're a king?" I asked him that. I didn't say you a king, pull up your pants. I didn't say that. I said, "Do you know you're a king?" He said, "I know." He said, "And furthermore, I'm a god." I said, "I like that answer. But however, if you want me to treat you like that, if you want me to look at you like that, you have to dress as such. You can't eat like a slave and then call yourself a king." You feel what I'm saying? If you eat like a slave, you eat crab meat, everything that we was given in slavery, then guess what? You're not a king. You're not. You still eat pig intestines and stuff like that. That's slave food. We all know that. When we cook soul food, we cook the worst of the meats. We cook the worst of the body of the animal. That's what slave food is, or so-called soul food is, because it's taking the best of whatever we can and making the best of it. I mean, excuse me, taking the worst of whatever we have and making the best of it. That's what soul food is. You see what I'm saying? It's enduring. It's food that helps you endure. It's food for the soul to keep you nourished. But however, it doesn't nourish you for the long run. All right, it keeps you drugged up. It keeps you hallucinating. It keeps you fogged in your mind. It keeps you docile and dumbed down. All right. So let's look at some other things where uh, the attire matters a lot. Proverbs. Proverbs 7:10. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot instead of a heart. She had on the attire of a harlot. That's what Proverbs 7:10 said. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of a harlot. It said the attire. It don't say an attitude. It say the attire of a harlot. The attire matters. It very well matters. It does. All right. I'm looking for the scripture where it says a man may be known by his attire and gait. Let's see. A man may be known by his attire and excessive laughter and gait. Let's see. Find it. Look at this. Look at this. Sirach 45:8. He put upon him perfect glory and strengthened him with rich garments, with riches, pants, right? With a long robe and an ephod. All right. Look at this, verse 10. With a holy garment, with gold and blue silk and purple, the work of the embroiderer, with a breastplate of judgment and with Urim and Thummim. All right, so it does matter what you wear. It does matter. Put on the royal clothes. Do you know why I wear white? Do you know why I wear white and gold? Why our camp colors is white and gold? I'm gonna bring you to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 9:8. It says, Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 8. Let thy garments be always white, and let thy head lack no ornament. Let thy garments be always white. King Solomon said that. All right. Now look, I chose this color because King Solomon was a royal, wise man. So likewise, I wanted to put on what he said. He said, let thy garments be always white. I chose white and gold for our camp uniform. You feel what I'm saying? Israelites, we do everything with a purpose, right? We do everything with a purpose. I'm looking for that scripture that say, let's see, a man may be known. See, look, here it goes. Sirach chapter 19, verse 30. A man's attire and acceptive laughter and gait show what he is. A man's attire, bruh. I pray you watching this. It says a man's attire show what he is. Sirach chapter 19 and verse 30. Bro, you was at the store with your pants sagging, bro, and you wanted me to address you as a god. I can't do that. I can't do that. Not without people watching. You know what I'm saying? That's my time for tonight. Wednesday night Bible study. Shalom. I pray you brothers and sisters got edified. Yes, attire does matter. Yes, clothes does matter. It's spirituality. All right. Let me help y'all understand something. Even my fringes matter. Even my fringes matter. Even my fringes matter. A man's attire show. Let your light shine. Let your light shine. A man's attire show what he is. All right. So with that, I say shalom. See you brothers and sisters, Lord's will on the Sabbath. Uh, Pray, meditate, fast, study, and apply. All right. Shalom to the mighty 12.